Alright, so today we're going to do our review of verbs part 2. It's a continued review of verb phrases linking transitive and intransitive verbs. At the end of this lesson, you'll be able to better identify transitive, intransitive, linking, and auxiliary verbs. This will be most beneficial if you go on to Blackboard and download the PDF that I have and work through that and then look at the answer key I will also post on Blackboard. It's all independent practice. It is not necessary. I will not have it turned in and I will not grade it, but it is certainly a tool to help you. And in addition, you'll learn, well, you already learned direct objects, but you will learn indirect objects, and you've already learned subject complements, but that handout again will help you with both. So, quick review of definitions. Whoopsie, hit the wrong thing. Linking verb is a subject, that is the noun that the sentence is about, with a subject complement. Subject complement can be a noun, in which case it's predicate nominative. And if it is an adjective, so it's assigning a quality, then it's called a predicate adjective. Linking verbs can always be a sensory verb, so something tastes, looks, smells, feels, or sounds, or verbs that establish existence. So it's only a linking verb if there is a subject complement, which means something that the subject is linked to. Otherwise, it's an action verb. In the sentences I have down here, he felt guilty. He equals guilty, therefore felt is a linking verb. The sentence beneath, the same verb felt, which is a sensory verb. He felt the puppy's soft fur. He felt the fur, so he's doing something to that. It's not him equaling the fur. That means this is actually an action verb, more specifically a transitive verb. In this sentence, he remained after everyone else left. Remained is an intransitive verb. After everyone else left is just explaining when he remained, but he remained is the simple sentence, okay? It's not linking him to anything else. The parrot remained sad. In this case, remained is actually a linking verb because the parrot equals sad. He was alone. In this case, he equals alone. In the following sentence, he was under the table. Under the table just explains where he was. The simple sentence is he was. So was in this sentence is an intransitive verb. So always double check that if you're looking for a linking verb, it is the subject equaling a complement. In this case, you might be a little bit thrown off by the phrase afterwards, which is, this is a prepositional phrase, same deal here. But the parrot remained sad, he was alone, and he felt guilty. In each case, I'm linking the subject, parrot, he, and he, with the complement, guilty, sad, and alone. If it's not a linking verb, it's an action verb. You already got this definition. It's being, the action is being done to something. It's called a transitive verb. And transitive verbs always have a direct object. That's the thing that is receiving the action. If nothing is being done to anything, then it's called an intransitive verb. In this case meaning not transitive. So a mnemonic reminder for you is transitive is like transferring an action to something else, which is your direct object. So in this sentence right here, he sat under the table and pouted because he had lost his favorite carrot. I have three different verbs, sat, pouted, and lost. Both sat and pouted are intransitive because they're not being done to anything, where lost is what he did to his carrot, which means that is a transitive verb. The following sentence, the monkey swung in the tree and ate a bagel. Swung and ate are both my verbs, but swung is intransitive, he's not doing it to anything. The bagel, however, is getting eaten, therefore it is receiving the action. He drove recklessly and crashed his go-kart into a pot of flowers. Again, drove. Recklessly is just describing how he drove, but he's not driving anything. If I said he drove a car, that would be transitive. In this case, though, it is intransitive, but crashed is something he did to his go-kart. Therefore, I have a direct object, and it is transitive. And she looked frightened when he asked her to a dance. In this case, looked is actually a linking verb because it's describing her. She equals frightened. And then he asked her, her being the DO, to the dance. That means that asked is actually a transitive verb. So auxiliary verbs or verb phrases are always made by the use of auxiliary verbs. And remember, this is actually a key definition that you'll need throughout the year. A phrase is a group of words that act as a single part of speech. And what they do is they create tense, past, present, or future, mood, or condition. So it could say something happened, is happening, or will happen, or the potential for that to happen, or how it might happen. The way to identify auxiliary verbs versus a main verb is you can strip them away. So he could have eaten an entire horse. In this case, if I took could out, it'd be he has eaten an entire horse. And again, if I took has out, he ate an entire horse. That means that eat, or the past participle thereof, is the main verb of the sentence. So if you ever have an issue with auxiliary verbs in your topic sentence, strip them down to the main verb, which should be an action verb. Now, quick quiz. I'm going to let you look at each sentence for about 3 seconds, and then I'll pop into the answers. But identify the verb or verb phrase in each of the following sentences, and try to think in your head if it's linking, transitive, or intransitive. You can also write this on a separate sheet of paper. So sentence number 1, he was acting somewhat creepy. Was acting is actually an intransitive verb. It's just what he is doing. This is an action being completed. Very obviously, it's acting. And somewhat creepy just explains how. Sentence number 2, her name is Polly. Is my verb. Name equals Polly, therefore it's a linking verb. Sentence number 3, I have never liked goat cheese. Have liked is my verb phrase. Never is a modifier, technically a part of the verb phrase. But in this case, this is a transitive verb because I'm doing it to goat cheese, so it's an action verb. That green pony has always seemed weird. Verb phrase is has seemed, and it's a linking verb because pony equals weird. Number 3, although many people disagree, I would swear that unicorns exist. I have 3 verbs in this sentence. See if you can find all 3. Disagree is the first one, would swear is the second one, and exist is the third one. Disagree is intransitive because it's not being done to anything. Would swear is transitive because I'm swearing that unicorns exist. And again, exist is intransitive because it's not being done to anything. It is simply an action being completed. Next sentence, I have frequently seen them in my backyard. Have seen is my verb phrase. And this is a transitive verb because I am doing something to them. I am seeing them. They must live under my deck. Must live is my verb phrase. This is intransitive. If I said if they lived a full life, then they would be doing something to a full life. In this case, I'm just saying they're completing this action. So intransitive. Now, things get a little more complicated. A standard transitive verb, as I said earlier, always has a direct object. But sometimes it also has an indirect object, in which case the verb is actually called a ditransitive verb. An indirect object is, that should be is, not if, for or to whom or what the direct object is directed. Here's the formula in English. It goes subject, so the thing completing the action, your transitive verb, then your indirect object, then the direct object. The thing about this is that your subject is doing this action to this thing, and this thing in turn is being booted back to your indirect object. So if you're playing catch with somebody, you, being the subject, throw a transitive verb, the ball, which is your direct object. The ball is receiving the action to your friend. Your friend is not receiving the action, they're receiving the ball. So I threw my friend the ball. In this case, again, the action is being completed to the ball, not to the friend. So quick quiz. Again, I'll give you a couple of seconds per sentence and I'll walk you through them, but identify the direct objects and indirect objects, if they're there, in each of the following sentences. So the first sentence, he bought her flowers for her birthday. I want you to ask yourself, what did he buy and for whom did he buy them? So DO is flowers, IO is her, because he bought the flowers for her. Second sentence, she flung them into his face. What is getting flung is them, so we only have a direct object. There is no indirect object. The force of the flying flowers gave him a black eye. Think to yourself, is someone or something being given something else? In this case, I, or black eye as a compound noun, is my direct object because it's being given back to him. Next sentence, he retrieved ice from the freezer and put it on his eyeball. Two verbs in this sentence. In both cases, you only have direct objects though, because ice is being retrieved and it is being put on his eyeball. And then last sentence, she eventually wrote him an apology letter, but he tore it up and threw it away. Two verbs in this sentence, actually three verbs in this sentence. Try to find which one is being done to something for or to somebody else. Okay, so she wrote the letter to him. The letter is my DO, him is my indirect object. But he tore it, that is a direct object, up and threw it, also direct object, away. So again, if you go back and do the practice exercises I've given you and review the answer key that I'll post online, it should help you a whole bunch for practice. There will be a quiz on verbs and nouns and pronouns coming up relatively soon. It'll probably be amalgamated into your upcoming vocab quiz. So make sure that you know this stuff. It is really, really essential that you do so before we move on with sentence diagramming. So if you do go ahead and do the PDF, I just want to remind you it's not going to be collected or graded. The exit quiz, however, will be graded, so do it as many times as you need before next class. You'll be locked out before class starts, right before class starts. But you can do it as many times as you need to get 100. And watch this video again if you need reminders. This video will be a key study tool for you throughout the term. And then please complete the exit survey. Some of you have had issues with that. Make sure you're logged into your LaSalle account before you try to do it. But it's really important that I get feedback from you guys so I know that we're done with this and we can move forward, or I know that I need to spend class time on it or study outside of class tutoring sessions in order to help you to make sure you have mastery of all of this. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to approach me during class, during lunch, during break, or after school. I'm here for you. I want to make sure you get this stuff down pat. That way you're a well-educated, intelligent young man or lady. Layered out.